In the quiet village of Ban Mekong, nestled deep within the misty forests of northern Thailand, there lived an old woman named Yai Mei Kam. With her hunched back, deep wrinkles, and eyes that seemed to pierce through the soul, she was a figure of mystery and fear among the villagers. But it was not her appearance alone that sent shivers down their spines, it was the whispered rumors of her dark powers. Yai Mei Kam was known to practice an ancient form of black magic, passed down through generations of her family. Her small, ramshackle house at the edge of the village was filled with strange herbs, animal bones, and jars of mysterious potions. She was a healer, or so the villagers believed. Whenever someone fell ill, it was Yai Mei Kam who they would visit, desperate for her remedies. And indeed, she could cure even the most stubborn ailments, for a price. What the villagers did not know was that their ailments were not natural. They were the result of Yai Mei Kam's own malevolent spells, cast upon them in the dead of night. In secret, she reveled in her power, taking pleasure in the suffering she caused. But her most terrifying ability was her control over the dead. In the deepest hours of the night, Yai Mei Kam would slip into the village graveyard, where she would perform rituals to awaken the dead. She called upon the spirits to do her bidding, to torment those who had wronged her or to serve her in her dark purposes. The villagers whispered of seeing shadows in the forest, of hearing unnatural moans and cries in the wind, but none dared to confront Yai Mei Kam. Years passed, and Yai Mei Kam grew older. Her health began to fail, and despite all her dark powers, she could not prevent the inevitable. She was struck by a mysterious illness, one that even her own magic could not cure. The villagers, unaware of her true nature, tended to her as she lay dying, believing they owed her their gratitude for all the years she had healed them. One night, as the full moon hung low in the sky, Yai Mei Kam took her last breath. The villagers, following tradition, prepared her body for the funeral rites. Her corpse was laid out on a simple wooden bench in the center of the village, surrounded by flickering candles and fragrant incense. The villagers gathered to pay their respects, their voices low and somber. But as they prayed, a black cat appeared from the shadows. Its fur was as dark as the night, its eyes gleaming with an eerie light. The cat silently approached the body of Yai Mei Kam, and before anyone could react, it leaped over her lifeless form. A collective gasp echoed through the crowd. The villagers were filled with dread, for they knew the old legend: if a black cat jumped over a dead body, the soul of the deceased would not find peace. Instead, the body would rise as a vengeful spirit. Fearful murmurs spread like wildfire among the villagers, but before they could act, a horrifying thing happened. Yai Mei Kam's eyes snapped open. Her once dull, lifeless eyes now glowed with a malevolent red light. A twisted, grotesque smile spread across her face, revealing sharp, jagged teeth that had not been there before. The villagers screamed and stumbled back in terror as the old woman's body slowly rose from the bench. Her skin had taken on a sickly gray hue, her fingers had elongated into claws, and her once frail body now exuded an unnatural strength. The black magic that had been Yai Mei Kam's life force had now fully consumed her, transforming her into a monstrous entity. She let out a guttural, inhuman laugh that echoed through the village, chilling the hearts of all who heard it. Chaos erupted as the villagers fled in all directions, desperate to escape the terror that had once been their healer. But Yai Mei Kam, now a creature of darkness, was relentless. She moved with supernatural speed, her claws slashing through the air as she chased them down. One by one, the villagers began to disappear, dragged into the shadows by the monster they had unwittingly trusted for so long. Days turned into nights, and the village was consumed by fear. No one dared to leave their homes, but even within the safety of their walls, they were not safe. The sound of scratching at their doors, the cold breath on their necks, and the whispers of Yai Mei Kam's voice haunted them relentlessly. The once peaceful village of Ban Mekong had become a place of nightmares. Desperate and with nowhere else to turn, the remaining villagers sought out the village monk, Phra Thong, who lived in a small temple on the outskirts of the village. Phra Thong was known for his wisdom and strong spiritual power, and the villagers begged him to help rid them of the curse that had befallen their home. Phra Thong, though troubled by the tales, agreed to confront the evil that had risen from the dead. He armed himself with sacred relics, holy water, and chanted ancient prayers as he made his way to Yai Mei Kam's home. The atmosphere was thick with malevolence as he approached, and the air itself seemed to pulse with dark energy. Inside, the twisted form of Yai Mei Kam awaited him. She sneered at the sight of the monk, her sharp teeth glinting in the dim light. "You think your holy words can stop me?" she hissed, her voice a raspy mockery of the one she had in life. But Phra Thong was not afraid. He began to chant, his voice strong and unwavering. The sacred words filled the room, pushing back the darkness that surrounded Yai Mei Kam. She howled in pain as the power of the monk's prayers struck her like a physical blow. She lashed out with her claws, trying to silence him, but the monk's spiritual aura protected him. With a final, desperate scream, Yai Mei Kam lunged at Phra Thong, her claws aimed at his heart. But before she could reach him, the monk threw a handful of holy water directly at her chest. The water sizzled as it made contact with her flesh, and Yai Mei Kam let out an ear-piercing shriek. Her body convulsed violently, the dark magic within her boiling and tearing her apart from the inside. The villagers who had gathered outside the house watched in awe as the unholy creature that had once been Yai Mei Kam crumbled to the ground, her body disintegrating into ashes. A gust of wind blew through the village, scattering the ashes and carrying away the last remnants of her evil. With Yai Mei Kam finally defeated, the village began to return to normal, but the scars of those terrifying nights would remain forever. The villagers built a shrine in the center of Ban Mei Kong, dedicating it to Phra Thong and the spirits of those who had lost their lives. They never spoke of Yai Mei Kam again, but the memory of her dark magic lingered in their hearts, a reminder of the thin veil that separates the living from the dead.